Here's on ICT Summit. Chris Burry is with me from Silicon Valley. Hello.
Nice to be here.
Maybe at the beginning, few advices from Silicon Valley, and everybody wants to have their own Silicon Valley. Maybe in Europe, some of them wants to have something in Australia, but Silicon Valley has only one, and everybody wants to know how are you doing business there. Maybe a few tips, advices for Polish startups from there.
So one of the things that I think most people lose sight of is that Silicon Valley has an incredibly long history. You have to understand Silicon Valley, you really have to go back to World War II and sort of follow the evolution of technology and the evolution of the business culture from there. And I think that one of the problems that we see in other parts of the world is that people say, I want to replicate Silicon Valley. And you can't replicate it, but you can learn sort of the lessons of what makes it successful and apply those lessons in terms of sort of, okay, this is a way that makes sense in a local environment. And so there are things Poland can learn from Silicon Valley, but Poland needs to create its own, sort of unique set of culture and institutions and circumstances. Trying to copy directly is actually a recipe for failure.
And what are the differences that maybe you see, because you were working all over the world, what are the differences between starting a startup in United States, close to Silicon Valley, and let's say in Europe or other region on the world?
So I think that there are several differences. One is it has to do with what I would call the culture of risk. That one of the things in the United States, particularly in Silicon Valley, people are much more comfortable with risk than they are in other parts of the world. And part and parcel of that is being comfortable with failure. That in Silicon Valley, people do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 startups before they get it right. And in other parts of the world, people view that as, well, you failed. But that's not really the way we view it. We view that as we had the opportunity to learn. That each of those failures, each of those things teaches you something. That next time you don't make that mistake, you make a different set of mistakes. But eventually you get it right. But in other parts of the world, the idea of, oh, I failed, has all kinds of sort of emotional baggage and cultural baggage and business baggage. And I think that one of the things that here in Poland, there has to be something of a mind shift, that it's not when it doesn't work, it wasn't that it was a failure, it was an opportunity to learn. The second thing I would say is that I'm consistently impressed here in Poland with sort of the level of technical competence of the companies, right? The engineers, the coders, the programmers, the architects are all really talented. I mean, these are people who really know their stuff. But where it falls down is in terms of thinking about a business. Most people think about a startup as like, oh, we're going to go create this new technology that's going to change the world. You have to change that to be thinking about, I'm going to create a business that sells a product that changes the world. The focus has to be on how is it that we make money? How is it that we create a business that's profitable and a business that scales on a global basis, as opposed to look at this cool, shiny technology that we just built.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Few good advices straight from Silicon Valley, and we are here on ICT Summit Warsaw 2014.